This episode was helped brought to you by our newest sponsor, Kalona Brewing Company. They're a brewery out there in Eastern Iowa. So if you're in the area, make sure to stop by Kalona and check out their brewery. Great food at the restaurant there, great beer, obviously. If you're in the Midwest, check out any Hy-Vees. I believe they carry the 6-packs and they have different types of flavors. So you guys are going to want to, definitely try that out. And I think throughout this whole process, Fishing Kit and myself for Beerfish Fanatics, we're going to be doing some giveaways here and there. If you guys can go ahead and tag us here and there with your Kalona beer. So other than that, enjoy the episode, guys. All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Beerfish Fanatics. This is Grandy with Ma Pop Fishing. We have
Kit with the Fishing Kit YouTube channel.
And today we have a guest that you might be a little bit familiar if you listen to our previous episode with Gus. And you know what? We decided, we had one bear, so why not have the second part of the of the team, right? So K-Bear, I guess he calls you, but we have Kristy Batista. Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to do it.
And definitely want to give a check. You know what? Beerfish Fanatics, we got to drink beer. So I want to definitely give a quick shout out to Kalona Brewing Company, our sponsor. I'm going to try this. I was talking to Kit earlier. This is really a lot of alcohol. It's called yeah, it goes UBU. I love it. I'm going to check this one out. It's an Imperial Stout and it is 10.2% alcohol content. So I'm going to try. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna. We'll see how I feel after. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I'll feel good, man. What do you got, Kit?
I was looking at that UBU one also, and I saw the alcohol content. I was like, I want to make sure I make it to the end of the podcast. So I went with the Block Party from Kalona Brewing.
Ooh, nice. And
it's only 5.8.
5.8. Hey, half of mine. So that means you got to drink 2 of those to catch up to me, Kit. All right. All right. Kristy, what do you got?
Well, I have got this. I don't even know how to say the name pronounced correctly. I think it's Sauza Agua Fuerte. It's spiked sparkling water. It has tequila and it's pineapple flavor. And let's see, wait, where is that? There we go. And it's got, let's see, what does it have? I think it's like 5% alcohol. So yeah.
There you go. We're gonna have a good time today. Cheers, everyone.
Ever drink?
Yeah, cheers.
cheers.
Oh yeah, shout outs to Jigging with Jake, friend of the show.
Yeah.
The green, the logo's green. That's why you can see through it. So it's kind of looking kind of weird.
That's cool.
So everybody's wondering if you're in the Iowa area, like I said, you go to Hy-Vee, go grab this beer. If you guys get a chance to, it's actually a really smooth Imperial Stout. And I'm not saying that because they're our sponsor. I'm actually saying that truly because I drink Imperial Stouts before and they can be rough. This one's actually, this one surprisingly is not as rough as I thought it was going to be. But yeah, go try it out. It's a really good beer. So.
He says that now. Let's watch as he continues through the show.
Hopefully I can get my sentences together, But
just watch his eyes. They might start getting smaller and smaller.
Oh, man. But again, you know what? Thank you so much, Kristy. We had Gus on here, but you know what? Enough about Gus. We want to know you. I want to get to know you a little bit more. Obviously, I've checked out your guys' channel. If everybody hasn't seen it, go check out 2bears Outdoors on YouTube. It's pretty cool stuff. You kind of do a lot of vlogs of outdoor stuff that you guys do. But to me, I want to know about you. And I know there's a little bit about the background of what you do as a marine mammal trainer. You're going to have to teach me that. I don't know what the hell that is. So you're going to have to explain that to me. I'm obviously not the brightest cat out there. So you can teach me. But tell us a little bit about yourself, about your show, about you and what you're all about.
Well, again, I'm not really doing much marine mammal training anymore, but I used to do that. And I got my love of the ocean and marine mammals just from my family always would come down to Daytona Beach and vacation there. My great aunt and uncle had a condo there. So I remember when I was young, me and my grandfather, and this condo is like way, way up towards the top of this building, and had a beautiful balcony on it. And my grandfather and I would go out there every morning, sit out there on the balcony, and he would show me, he's like, okay, now watch, you're going to see some pods of dolphins. They're going to come, they're going to swim up the beach in the morning, and you'll see them, and then in the evening we'd see them and they'd come back. And they were going, to different places to fish and everything and catch their food, and then they'd come back. So I just, always wanted to be a dolphin trainer. And so I decided to, find out what did I need to do that? What kind of schooling do you need? And the more I researched about it, first I thought I needed to have a marine biology degree, which that is not my thing. Biology, no. I didn't do very well at that in school. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. And then the more I researched and found out that really, you need a behavioral psychology degree to work with the animals. Now, if you're going to do like the medical and things like that, yes, the biology part. But if you just want to work on and train them, you need the behavioral psychology. So, because training a dolphin and kind of training a husband is not too different.
Wow.
So,
wow. You and my wife would get along so good.
So, so with behavioral psychology, and I was thinking, oh, well, I have to go to Florida to go to college. And of course, back then, out of state tuition was so expensive. And then when I found out I needed behavioral psychology, I'm like, well, I can go right here at home, University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and I can do that here. So that's what I ended up doing. While I was in college, I did an internship, and also did a lot of volunteering down in the Keys at the Dolphin Research Center, anytime like on spring break or, a week or two or here. And then I did that a month-long internship down there as well. So I was quickly learning that, yeah, you can have a degree, but you need the experience. And I think there's a lot of things out there nowadays, where back then people were all, all their parents and everything pushing you, go to college. Well, yes, college is great. And that's a degree. Nobody can ever take that away from you. But I learned that you really need the experience, because you can have all the book smarts in the world, but if you can't actually train an animal, you're no good to them. So that's why, I did that volunteering and all of that. So, and I trained dolphins and California sea lions and harbor seals and gray seals, and dealt with some little otters at one point, and just a lot of different things. And so that, me and my love of animals, and that's kind of one of the ways that me and Gus ended up coming together at one point. But that's where I got into dealing with the animals and things. And then of course I ended up with a big bear.
A land mammal.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely one of a kind.
Right. So when you're talking about training these marine mammals, so what are you training them to do? Like just backflips out of the water? Like, hey, go get this thing?
You're training them what you're doing. And one thing that a lot of people would always say to me, they'd come up and be like, oh, well, make it do this and make the dolphin do this, make it do that. I'm like, okay, first off, that's about a 300 to a 500 pound mammal. There is no way that I can make this animal do anything that it doesn't want to do. Mm-hmm. So that's where the training comes in. What you do is you're capturing the behaviors that they already do. And then you can add to that. But a lot of times people say, well, make it do a trick. I'm like, well, it's not a trick. A trick is like a magician, oh, you think you're seeing something, but you're not, or whatever. No, these are behaviors that these animals are very capable of doing, and you just train, you capture that behavior. So you might see, the dolphin decides to just all of a sudden do like a tail walk, because they do that in the wild. They will come up and where they kind of on their tail and they kind of go backwards, and the majority of their body's out of the water. That's a behavior that they do naturally. And so what you do is when you see it do that, you can capture it and like give it a reward right then. And that's one way to capture it. Or if you want to train that behavior, then you have to do what they call successive approximation. And that's where you train the dolphin to target. So they like touch their nose or their rostrum to like a ball on the end of a stick. You train them to do that. And then you train them, okay, when I put the stick up here, you come up and you touch it. And you go a little further and a little further. And then at some point you start moving that stick and getting them to follow it. So there's a couple different ways that you can capture that behavior, or you can actually train that behavior, but you're still they have to be willing to participate. So it's a lot. And sometimes they can outsmart you. So
no, but you know what? I never heard anyone explain it like the way you did of how important psychology really is, but it makes complete sense because you're trying to understand the animal and to have experience and to have knowledge of the psychology of the animal, of a human, of how we all think as creatures. So I never realized, but it makes sense. If you're trying to train, an animal or any species, anything to do a specific thing, you have to understand where they're coming from. So that really makes sense. So no, I didn't even understand. I mean, I guess you can say, I never thought of it or looked at it in that sense. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, I'm just curious. Does that help you understand fish by chance? Like, because when you go fishing, because now you kind of got that psychology of understanding fish and animals and creatures a little bit. Does that help you understanding the fish and when you go fishing at all?
It can, because and I'm sure a lot of fishermen out there, they kind of do this and not even think about it being psychology. But they're thinking about, okay, the fish, I've learned it, they go here at this time I can find these certain fish in this body of water or in this area, but then in other times they're nowhere to be found. And so you're like, okay, why are they going here at this time? And then you realize, okay, well, maybe there's a lot of shrimp coming through this area at this time, or certain things that they like to prey on. So you're kind of getting into the mind of the fish, so to speak, to try to figure out where they're going to be, so where to go to try to catch them. Does that make sense?
Hey, Kit, you're a fish psychologist, man.
I guess.
It actually makes sense. You're right. You're trying to think where would you be if you're the fish, because you're trying to catch him, right?
Right.
And then you're also trying to think, okay, what is he gonna eat, or she, or what are they gonna eat? So you're putting yourself in their psych. Holy crap! See, we're all fish psychologists, man. It's awesome.
I wouldn't go as far as calling myself a fish psychologist. More like I'm out there enough times. I just happen to run into fish. Is what I think.
But after a while, it can go the other way around. You start kind of learning, okay, well, the fish are here, and then the fish can kind of train you.
Right.
Because you're like, okay, well, I know the fish are going to be here, and I want to go to the fish, so I'm going to go there. So it goes both ways. Because actually, you can train just about anything. You can train a cockroach. I mean, anything you can train. You can train them. You can train. I don't know if y'all have ever seen any YouTube videos or anything of like there's people that have trained octopus. You can train just about anything. Yes. And I even saw where somebody trained an octopus, like I was telling you, to target train, where you have like the ball on the stick or whatever, and you train them to touch it or whatever. I saw where, I forget what facility it was, but they trained it to do that.
Wow.
And they even at Theater of the Sea down in the Keys, another place that I used to work a long time ago, I think it may be about 3 or 4 years ago, they actually started working with their alligators and their crocs. And even though a lot of people say that, that you can't train them, now, they're still going to think the way they think, but you can train them to target. You can train them. They taught one of their alligators to paint. They taught her how to hold the brush in her mouth, and they taught her how to paint with it. So it's amazing.
Wow.
I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't be that close. Like I was telling Gus, man, there's, yeah, you're not gonna find me. I know my limits, and I know what what I'm capable
Yeah,
of.
that's what I always said. And he's gotten me. I've of course been on, sat on a few alligators. Of course, their mouth was taped. But you have my husband, he's like, oh no, I want you to do and go swimming with me in the water with the alligator. I'm like, no. Not gonna happen.
Well, he was trying to convince us to do that same thing, but if he can't convince you, there's no way he's gonna convince us.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like I said, if their mouth is taped, I'm okay. But then again, I learned, I don't know if y'all had seen the video or anything of when he proposed to me, and I was sitting on the back of an alligator when he actually proposed to me. And of course its mouth was taped and everything, but there was a little pool right behind, not even 5 feet behind me where I was sitting on the gator, that had a bunch of other alligators that were not taped. And I'm thinking, okay, if this gator throws me off, I'm going to land right in this pool and I'm gone, And Gus is like, no. And when I went to sit down, because I didn't even know that any of this was going to happen, of course. And I remember him telling me, and they were telling me, when you get ready to sit on an alligator, you better commit and sit. Because if you kind of, oh, wait, I got to move, they're going to kind of buck and move. And boy, when they hit you with that tail, which has the ridges in their back and in the tail, those are scoots. Those are bones, and they hurt like heck. And I found that the hard way, because I went to sit down, but I'm like, oh no, wait. And when I started to move back up just a little bit, that gator thrashed his tail, and it wrapped around my calf. I had bruises all the way around my calf for like 3 weeks after that. I'm like, wow, what a way to come out of your proposal with bruises all over your leg.
Did it make you second guess saying yes? Like, do I want to get into this or what?
Well, at that point, I didn't hardly have a choice for anything, because I'm sitting on this alligator and I'm holding the mouth, which the mouth is taped, but I'm still holding it. Like I said, even though their mouth is taped, they can still hurt you really bad with that tail and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to get thrown off of here. And Gus is talking, and he's like, okay, now you remember when you first saw me wrestle? Because where he proposed to me was the place that I saw him wrestle alligators for the very first time, like back. This was in 2000, I think 13, when he proposed to me. The first time I ever saw him wrestle was back in 1999, 2000. So,
Wow.
He's like, you remember when you came to see me and I was wrestling? Well, we're going to recreate that. And he starts to acts like he's going to cut the tape off the alligator's mouth. And I'm like, whoa, no. And at this point, I still have no clue what's about to happen. And of course, my husband is just like me. We're both long-winded. So he starts talking, and then at some point I figure out, wait a minute. He's getting ready to ask me to marry him. And you know how most women, when they're like, well, I couldn't do that. I'm holding an alligator. I couldn't let go. So I'm like, okay. So, it was quite interesting, but no, I mean, I didn't second guess it at all. He had proved himself over and over again, because we dated, we dated for like 2 years or so, and then we were engaged for a year. So, and that was long distance. Remember, mind you, I was in Tennessee. So we only got to see each other maybe 3 or 4 times a year. But in those times, he really proved himself over and over to me. So I'm like, okay, but it did go through my mind. Okay, this is what my life is going to be, living to sit on alligators. And so, because he was always wanting to get a picture, he wanted the photo op. So that's why when and again, this was in front of a bunch of people. This was in front of a show. They were doing an alligator handling show. Oh. And so all the guys there knew, what was happening. And Gus had set up a couple of cameras, whatever. And I was used to him. He was always getting the shot. He's always in my face with a GoPro, a video camera. I learned to lock the door behind me when I went to the bathroom, because that's how much he was always in your face. And so at this point, nothing was new to me. I'm like, okay, he wants another photo op. He wants a video. Okay, I'll go sit on the gator,
Yeah.
So at first I'm just like, okay, fine, and then, but it kind of changed rather quickly. And it was a very unique proposal. I can tell you that I never saw it coming.
Right. Yeah, I was about to say that's probably one of the coolest proposal stories I've ever heard. Grandy, I don't know if your proposal was that exciting.
No, no, not even close, man. This is the thing, man. As men, when you expect, because you watch a lot of movies and a lot of shows and YouTube and all that stuff, how people propose, right? Trust me, I had the same vision. Shit didn't work right on mine. I'll tell you this right now. My wife can tell you, Kit, and it's a story for another day. I'm telling you right now, it's one of those things that didn't work. It wasn't like that, though. I guarantee it wasn't. I would never put Huey on top of an alligator, but that is pretty badass, though. I gotta admit, a little bit. I'm a little jealous about that. That's a pretty cool story.
It is pretty cool, and even though I get so. I still do sometimes. I would get so aggravated with him being in my face with a camera, but he captures all those moments. And now we can actually look back at that, and have it. And of course, thousands of people can see it too, but, it's cool that we have that to look back at. So yeah, even though sometimes I'm like, really, and especially even now, because we're always trying to get B-roll shots and, footage for our videos. So he's always like, I'm like, don't video this. He's like, no, but we need the shot.
Kit knows, right? See, you always need a shot. You just keep recording, right, Kit?
Yeah.
Always record, then you don't miss anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So how long have you guys been doing the YouTube thing?
Oh gosh. I think 3 years.
3 years.
I think 3 years so far. Yeah.
Was there always a plan to do it, or was it just kind of, oh,
no.
You know what, let's just do it?
No. We always videoed stuff anyway, and then we thought, you know what, and some of the videos that we started doing, we just did them to help other people out. Like the reviews and things, like the reviews on Cast King that we did. Mm-hmm. We had no plan or anything like that. We're just like, hey, we found something that's an awesome product. And we are so hard on everything. I mean, we don't always rinse our gear. We just don't do everything that we should. Like some of the people that they wash every little piece and they do this and that. No, we're just like, we're tired, throw it in the corner and, we're done. So when we found these,
I'm with you.
Yeah. So when we found the gear, the Cast King stuff, and we're like, hey, man, we ain't killed this stuff yet. And it's still going strong, So we just did some videos, and then at some point, Cast King reached out to Gus and they're like, hey, would y'all want to be ambassadors? And we're like, yeah, cool. Because if it's something we can stand behind, we're all about it, And we knew that their products were good because we used them and abused them, and and they were doing so great. So we're like, yeah, let's do it. And so we just went from there, and then that's when it kind of grew, and and we just started doing more of our adventures, and then just including the Cast King into the stuff that we do. Mm-hmm. Now we're doing more. Well, for the past year, because of the COVID, we hadn't done a whole lot of anything. I mean, I don't know how it was up where you all were, but I mean, they closed our boat ramps for months. And why did you close the boat ramps? That's the one place where people can go and get away from everybody. But yet they closed them. So, there was quite a while where we couldn't get out and really do. And they didn't even, there was certain even areas in the Everglades, that we would go fishing, and they even closed that. They didn't even want you out there standing on the bank fishing. And I'm like, okay, there's nobody around for miles, but okay.
You know what? I think we got lucky in that sense, because I know like Illinois, like Chicago, Illinois, they shut down, and Iowa, we really did get lucky. They didn't shut the lakes down. I mean, there was no camping. They didn't allow camping, obviously, last year in 2020. But yeah, we were super lucky. They didn't shut any of the lakes down. You can go fishing. They didn't shut down the boat ramps or anything, luckily. But yeah, there's states around us that did get locked down. And it's like you were just saying, it's just like, dude, we're outside and I'm alone outside fishing. I mean, I don't think I'm going to pass COVID to myself. I'm just saying, in a sense. And even if I did have it, I'm passing it to myself. It is, and I totally get that. And no, yeah, I didn't know it was completely locked down over there. For how long did they shut that down for you guys, so you guys couldn't fish for? How long was that?
Oh gosh, it was probably for, I don't know, completely shut down for maybe 4 months.
Wow.
And then they started reopening the boat ramps, but at a very, very small capacity. So like we have a boat ramp just a couple of miles from our house that they've got, gosh, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably 6 or 8 lanes to where you can back in. Mm-hmm. And they were only allowing, instead of using both lanes on one side of the dock, they only one. So it was down to like 3 to 4 lanes. So it would get backed up. And of course, when they did finally open it a little bit, then everybody and their brother was like, we got to go, Yeah. So then the lines were miles and miles long just to try to get in. Well, they've only got a certain amount of parking. So they've got a decent amount of parking, but when you have that many people, some of our friends and stuff, they're like, I went and sat in line. They got in line at like probably 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. They sat in line for 2 hours or more. But then when they got up there, close to getting up there, oh, sorry, we're closed. We don't have any more parking. Wow. So yeah, it was very aggravating for a lot of people around here because, just everybody inundated the ramps and they've only got a certain capacity. And so once they're full, and you had to turn around and leave and try to go somewhere else. And we went out, maybe tried to go out a couple of times. We're like, you know what, we're not going to sit in this and take a chance of all this time, because we've got our 2 dogs, and it's just dealing with them and in the car. And there was one time that we went out, I forget what we were trying, it was a holiday, and I think it was July 4th. And we sat in line for quite a while, but we got up there and got in just maybe 15 minutes before they shut it down. And we were so lucky, and because we were going out and just staying out, all weekend on our boat. But that was before we had the cabin, the walk around with the cabin. That was when, I don't know if you've seen any of our videos where we camped out on our little Scout in the tent cots. So that was what that weekend was all about. And it was interesting. I mean, we had really pretty weather, but one night there was a storm. It came close to us, but it never hit us, thank goodness, because Gus, he couldn't get comfortable in his tent cot. So he slept out in the float. We've got one of those big floats that'll hold like 4 or 5 people, and he went out and he slept in the float. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm waking up and I'm seeing lightning off and the wind is picking up, and I'm like, oh no, so I'm like, Gus, and he sleeps like a rock, trying to get him up. Plus, it was like being on a water bed, and so he was sleeping so good. And finally, it took me like 5 minutes to finally get him like get your butt out there everywhere. So it was interesting, but luckily it went all around us and it never hit us. So we did good. But yeah, now we've got our walk around, and I have to say it is much more comfortable. We still have our Scout, but we go out more in the walk around. The Scout, I think we're going to use it more for like going over to the Everglades and fishing in the canals, because it's small enough, we can drop it in, no problem. And that's great. But then when we go out in the Keys, we really like to take our walk around, because we don't like I said, for the past couple of months, the wind has been crazy. I mean, 20, 30 mile an hour winds, and you get that and now granted, when we go out, we stay on the bay side. We don't go over to the ocean side hardly ever, because it's been so rough over there. Mm-hmm. But the bay side, man, sometimes when you got 20, 30 mile an hour winds, that it gets kicked up pretty good too. But the good thing about this boat is it cuts right through it, and it's fine. So like I said, we always take our 2 dogs, and they're little dogs. So, I have to make sure they're not going to get thrown out of the boat. And so it's like having, we weren't blessed enough to have children, but we have furry children. So, and our little bear, he's great. He's learned to sit right there with us. But then we have our little older dog. She's a little Maltese, and she's 17, and she's blind, she's deaf, and she's got dementia. So trying to deal with her, but I can't leave her. I can't leave her at home. And my mother-in-law just can't handle her, so I have to take her. So it's like almost like taking a newborn out on the boat.
Makes sense.
It's crazy.
Oh,
but
man.
we make it work. We go, we make it work. So
at least they're open now, though, right? You guys is it pretty much completely open though now?
Yeah. Everything's open. Everything is back to normal. All the boat ramps are fully functioning. So, but the good thing because our Scout, we keep it here at the house, but, our walk around, when we got it, we went ahead and got it, and, got enough money to be able to pay for a year to have it. We keep it in Key Largo at a marina there, but it's kept on the trailer. But the good thing about it is that when we go, we just go put all our crap on it, and then hop on the boat, and then they grab it with the tractor and just pull our trailer, drop us in the water, and then they go put our trailer back for us. So that has been fabulous. We don't even have to worry about launching and everything. All Gus has to do is drive it off the trailer and drive it on the trailer. So we're like spoiled at this point with that. We're just loving it. I mean, it costs you a pretty penny to be able to do that, but it's so worth it to not have to pull the boat all the way down there. Like I said, it's not far, but it's about 40 minutes, and that way we don't even have to deal with it. So, yeah, we're definitely enjoying it. And we just we're really looking forward to the water and the wind dying down to where we can actually get out on the ocean side more, because we've been wanting to do more fishing over there, because we just go out about as far as the reef. But one time we went out because we wanted to try some slow pitch jigging. We wanted to try to do some of that. And so we went just a little bit past the reef into about maybe 300 feet of water. And it just we just weren't getting a lot of bites. We couldn't really find the fish that day. So we're really wanting to go back out and really try that. But, when you've got 3 and 4 foot seas, it's just not fun, because our boat is a V hull. So you're rocking and rolling with that. So we're looking forward to the weather kind of calming down a little bit. And so we can get out there and do some more fishing out there. We do quite a bit of fishing in the bay, and stuff, but we want to get out. And Gus has been dying to catch some tuna, and, we're wanting to catch some hogfish, and just some things that we've never caught tuna, and we've just caught just a handful of hogfish. And when we caught them, it wasn't seasoned. So we couldn't. so
Oh,
we're looking forward to being able to catch those in season, being able to keep them.
gotcha. Man. Thank you for joining us at Beerfish Fanatics. And this episode is actually brought to you by Whisker Seeker Tackle.
So make sure you guys go to whiskerseeker.com for all your catfishing gear.
Enjoy the episode, guys. Sorry, we don't have tuna in Iowa unless you're shipping it in.
Yeah.
We want to. Trust me. I mean, we talked to Gus. We're like, yeah, I wish we could fish for tuna. And we had a bunch. We had Nick from in Hawaii. We're like, yeah, must be nice to catch a 200-pound mahi. I was just like, gosh, if only.
Yeah. We know we're very blessed to have a plethora of all different kinds of fish, just literally right at our fingertips. We just got to be able to get out there and get to them to catch them. So we're working on it. We're, like I said, we've been dealing with our stone. This is the first season that we've done. We got some stone crab traps, and we've never done that before. So that's been interesting. And then, we've just got this weekend, we got to pull them because season is up May the 1st, but we haven't done real well with that. But of course, when you start doing it, you got to learn where to go and all that. So we're hoping maybe this last pull, when we pull them, maybe we'll have, at least 3 or 4, claws that we can keep. Last weekend or last time when we pulled them to check them, he went to pull this one trap and it had 2 stone crabs in it. And one of them was massive. And I'm like, oh, those are keeper claws. I can tell it was an egg bearing female, and you can't take her claws if she's egg bearing. I'm like, oh no. So I cried as we tossed her back into the ocean. And then the other one, he had 1 keeper claw. So we came home and I boiled that 1 claw. And we cracked it open and we each had 2 little tiny bites. And oh, those little bites were so good. So I'm hoping maybe next season we'll do better. But it's been fun kind of learning how to do it,
Yeah. Yeah, those claws are pretty expensive. Like, I mean, especially like if we up here were to like, if some place was to order stone crab claws, it's like crazy expensive.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere
they're
even
pretty expensive down here too, but I can imagine there.
Yeah. Do they even offer here, Kit? I don't even. Is
There might be like a couple places that offer it here, but if they do, you're paying a pretty penny for it.
In other words, market price.
Yeah.
That's what it's gonna say. That's what it costs. Market price.
Yeah. That's why we were like, man, because we've got some friends and family down in the Keys, and they're always posting, on their Snapchat and stuff. Oh, we went and pulled our pots today, and they've got all these claws, and we're like, we got to do that. So, like I said, a few months ago, we ordered, because you can order like the kit, which is from a place down in the Keys, and it comes with everything you need except for the concrete that you have to put in the bottom of them. And so we got them, I built them, put them together, we put the concrete in them and everything, and got our stone crab license and all that, and we were just so excited. And the first few times that we pulled them, we had a bunch of blue crabs, which you can keep those because those are in season all the time, and there's not really a limit on those. So but that's not what we wanted. So we threw those back, but now I'm wishing we'd have kept them. And then later on, we caught a couple of blue crab, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to cook them anyway. And because, blue crabs, they're good. They're just, it's a little more work, to get to the meat. And so I'm like, okay, so I told Gus, I said, well, if we're going to be able to crab all year long, then we need to get some blue crab traps. And that way, we can, and those are a lot lighter, they're just like that wire mesh like stuff. So they don't weigh as much, because the stone crab traps, they're like 25, 30 pounds a piece. They're heavy. And so, the others, they're just the mesh and stuff. So they don't weigh nothing. So I'm like, yeah, we need to get some of those. And that way, at least we can be catching some blue crab, because there's tons of blue crab around there, tons of them, because there's a lot of bottom that's grassy. And we've learned that the blue crab tend to hang out in grassy bottom. And so that's where we were dropping our traps. And that's why we were catching all these flipping blue crabs, because of where we were dropping them. And then we started dropping in just like flat sandy area with like maybe some rock or something like that. Of course, that's where stone crab gets its name, because they like to hide in between the rocks. So they like sandy bottom and stuff. So when we put a couple of traps out deeper in about maybe 10 foot of water, and it was like sandy, and that's where we've started catching those. So now we know, okay, that's where we're going to drop them. And then the blue crabs, we can just drop those up where we've been dropping them. We'll catch those like crazy. So
do you guys have Dungeness crabs there or no?
no, we don't have those down here.
Okay. I'm just because I'm a huge fan of because I used to live in California in the Bay Area. I used to live in San Francisco and stuff. And yeah, when they go Dungeness crabs, oh gosh, it's so good. Yeah. No, I was just wondering. I wasn't sure if that was like, I guess it's just different locations of the U.S. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. As far as I know, we don't have those here. We just, but we've got, the blue crabs are very abundant. And then the stone crabs are too, if you know where to find them. So we're still scouting out our spots, so to speak. So we found a couple of spots that we know tend to, you get a few of them there. And then so next season we'll scout out some more, and hopefully we'll do a little bit better then.
What are the open dates seasons for them?
I think the season opens around October.
Okay.
And then I know it ends May 1st. And then of course, like I said, blue crab, there's not a season for them. They're all year long. There's just a couple of weeks. And it depends on what part of Florida you're in as to what those 2 weeks are. Those 2 weeks, you're not allowed to try to catch any blue crabs or anything, because I guess during those 2 weeks they are going around FWC and everything. They go around and they're trying to find derelict traps, and so they're going out and they're any traps that have been like lost, or whatever, they pull them, and just to get them out of the ocean. And because you have a derelict trap, and then it's regulation that you have to have that chew out. There's a chew out piece. It's just a piece of wood that is, biodegradable, of course. So if that trap gets lost and you get stuff in there, well, they can chew that out, or over time, it'll just it'll biodegrade, and that way they'll be able to get out. If not, that trap just keeps on killing and killing and killing. So, so they have those 2 weeks to where they can go out and any blue crab traps or whatever, because I guess those tend to sometimes get lost easier because they're so light. And so they tend to get lost easier. So they go out and any ones that they find that don't have like buoys on them or whatever, because if it's got a buoy stuck to it, then it's somebody's. But during those 2 weeks, there shouldn't be any out there. So any ones they find, they're going to pull them. So, but yeah, the rest of the year you can catch blue crabs all you want. So we're going to try to do that, and then we've also want to try to do some lobstering. We've never done that either. So now that we've got our bigger boat, and we really want to try our hand at that. So we'll see. I don't know. Sometimes because you can't catch them in traps. You have to go and just catch them by hand, or catch them with the lobster kit or whatever. Okay. That's the only way you're allowed to recreationally. That's the only way you're allowed to catch them. So, I'm interested to see if we can do that, because you gotta be able to get down there, and then usually they're under ledges and things like that. So, and I told Gus I would love to get some more scuba gear, because I'm scuba certified. I hadn't been in years, but I'm certified, but he's not. But I told him I wanted him to get certified because it is so much easier when you're looking for those things if you're down there floating around rather than you're trying to swim down, and then if you've kind of got a little extra padding like both me and Gus do, you're going to bob back up to the top like a cork. So you use all your air just trying to get down there too, and then you scare them away. So so that'll be a video all in itself of us trying to lobster.
Lobster. All right, Kit, we got it. I love lobster. So my wife loved lobster. I might have to. Actually, I think we're gonna try to do a quick trip to Florida. I think I'm looking to take my family maybe at the end of the summer or something. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Y'all need to come down. We'd love to take y'all out on the boat. I mean,
see?
that's what we do all the time. We love taking people out. I have a lot of business colleagues back in Tennessee because after I got out of marine mammal training, I was in the hospitality industry. And I was in it in college, but I worked for a sales and marketing director for a hotel for 11 years. And then I worked for the Titanic Museum as a sales manager for like 4 years. So I have a lot of business colleagues that I'm still in touch with. And anytime they come down, I'm like, hey, let me know, and we're always, anytime some of them come down, we're always taking them out on the boat. So but I always warn them, we are hardcore. When we go out, we're out all day long.
Uh-oh.
So make sure you got plenty of snacks, plenty of drink, whatever you need, whatever you want, bring it with you. And because when we go, we hang out on the water all day.
All right, I'll have to talk to the wife in that because we have 4 daughters that are 8 and under, so they'll be interesting.
That'd be fun though. We have a massive float that will hold 8 people, so we can accommodate.
Love it.
They would love it.
Yeah, that's kind of my style too. Like when I go fishing, I'm trying to go all day. I'm not trying to go out for 2, 3, 1 or 2 hours, unless it's during the week, of course, because I got to work. But if it's the weekend, I'm trying to spend the whole day out there.
Oh yeah, you got to make the most. And plus, if you're going to get your stuff together and you're going to travel wherever you're going to, and if you got to put your boat in, whatever, you want to spend as much time on the water as you can. And so that's what we always try to do. Sometimes we're running a little late getting out of the house, but it seems like it takes us forever to get all our crap together. But we're getting better at it.
So what's your favorite species, Kristy? What's your favorite species to fish for?
Oh gosh.
At least top 3. You don't have to name it number 1. Like top 3.
Well, I just see me. Well, now I love fishing for peacock bass.
Okay.
Those are so fun to fish for. And there's not a whole lot of places you can go to find those. We're lucky to have those here in South Florida. And so, but just the way that they fight is so different. And I had never fished for peacock bass until, me and Gus were married, and he was like, he's explaining, I'm like, well, what's a peacock bass? I'm thinking of just a regular largemouth bass or whatever. He's like, oh, no, you got their beautiful fish and this and that. And then he's like, okay, but now when you fish for them, they fight differently, and the way they take the bait is different than the way like a largemouth bass would. And so I'm like, okay. So, we went out and we were in our kayak and our tandem kayak. And I'm like, it's just amazing how differently they take the bait and how differently they fight. And again, there's just a beautiful fish to see, so I love those. And then of course I love fishing for anything in the ocean because it's always a crapshoot. You never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to pull up. Of course, for some reason, I tend to catch pufferfish. I'm not fishing for them. I'm not trying to, but I don't know how many times I have pulled up those stinking little pufferfish. They're cute as they can be, but it's like, I really don't want to eat that, which, you can't eat them. You have to cut a certain way. So you get that little sack that has the poison or whatever in it, but they say they taste just like chicken. They
All right.
say
Explain to our audience, because in case they don't know what a pepperfish is.
a puffer fish.
Pepper?
No,
Puffer.
puffer.
Okay. You
Puffer,
have to explain.
puffer.
I don't know. You have to explain it to someone like me.
You don't know what a puffer fish is?
Puffer, I don't.
Well,
I don't.
I'm sure you've probably seen one. You know, when you catch them, they start swelling up and they blow up.
Okay.
And that's how their defense mechanism. So when you catch them and then when you grab them and you're trying to take them off the hook,
Mhm.
they inflate like a
Okay.
balloon, and they've got all these little spines sticking out or whatever.
Oh,
And,
okay. Okay.
yeah.
They puff
So-
up.
I don't know why I tend to catch them so much. I'm like, oh yeah, and I get it up. I'm like, oh my gosh, another. I tend to catch the aquarium fish. Like the puffer fish, the pretty angel fish, all these things that you really don't want to eat. They're just pretty to put in an aquarium. Oh yeah, but I like I said, hogfish is one that I love to try to catch those, and I've only caught 2, and they're it's hard to get them to bite certain things, and it's hard to find. You might be able to catch one, but if you're trying to catch them, they're in season, and you're trying to catch one, to keep. They got to be a pretty good size to be able to keep them. And so the last time that I caught one, it wasn't in season, and then the time before that, it was a keeper, and we weren't sure it was a keeper at the time because we weren't sure of the length. And so I toss it back, and I'm looking, and I'm like, oh man, I could have kept that fish. So now we make sure we have all our little charts with us and everything. Because I do not want to throw a fish back that I could potentially keep and eat.
There you go.
Especially a hogfish.
We
So,
don't peacock
your-
bass. We have the. I've never obviously caught one. We have to go and try and catch a peacock basket.
Oh gosh, they are so fun to catch. If y'all come down here, you need to let Gus take you out. It's a little lake that's actually it's in a part of Miami, and it's a little bigger than what you think, but it's full of peacock bass, and that is the best place to go and catch them. And I mean, that lake is full of them, and some big ones too. I mean, big males has got the big, horn looking thing on their head, and they're beautiful, but they're so fun to fish for. They really are. I know when Coach Tom Gahan with Cast King, when him and his wife came down, I think it was a couple years ago, and Gus, he wanted to go peacock bass fishing. He'd never caught a peacock bass, and Gus took him, and he was just like, oh, this is just the best thing ever. He's like, they're just so fun to fish for them. So yeah, so whenever you all come down, Gus will take you to go peacock bass fishing, and I'll take your wife and the girls, and we'll go out and do something fun.
Deal.
So what's your favorite fish to eat? I mean, you talk about this hogfish quite a bit. Is it the hogfish?
Actually, it is. It used to be mahi mahi was one of my, Dorado, dolphin, whatever you want to call it, used to be my favorite. But then about 3 or 4 years ago, one of my friends, she was from Tennessee. She was living down in the Keys, and we met her and her boyfriend at one restaurant, and we were talking about what we were going to order, and they're like, oh man, have you had their hogfish? I'm like, I don't even know if I've ever seen a hogfish. And she's like, this is absolutely out of this world. So I'm like, well, I don't know. And Gus is like, I'll order it, so he ordered it. It was absolutely the best tasting fish I have ever had. And ever since then, that's why we've been trying to catch them, but either we're not able to get out on the water and get to where you can really get them, because of the weather, whatever, or the weather's great, but they're not in season.
Mm.
So it's really hard for us to be able to get, and of course you can catch them like inland, around closer to from the reef in at some of the patch reefs where it's not, you're talking maybe 20, 30 feet of water. But a lot of times those are not the keepers. They're not going to be big enough. So you want to go offshore to deeper water. And then that's where you'll find the bigger hogfish, the ones that are just really big and definitely a keeper. So that's what I'm really wanting to do, because ever since we had that, I was like, that's my ultimate fish so far. There's still a lot of others I haven't tried yet, but of the ones that I've tried, that is my ultimate, because I'm the type, I don't like fishy fish. So anything that tastes remotely fishy, no, because I really don't care for freshwater fish that much, because they tend to be more fishy,
Yeah.
And I remember when I was growing up, my grandfather, we'd go catch crappie and and bass and things like that. And of course they'd have like a fish fry with the crappie and stuff. And I just remember thinking, I like to catch them, but I don't really care to eat them.
Oh man, you're killing me, Kristy. I love crappie. Fried crappie is so good.
I guess if they're fixed a certain way, you can make them to where they're like less fishy tasting or whatever. So, but when I was little, and I haven't had them since I was probably 12. So, my taste buds have changed over the years. So if they're fixed really well, I might like them now. But boy, back then, no, I was like, no, I'll catch them and you can eat them.
Oh man.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna hurt some people's feelings, because crappie's like their favorite fish. And you're like, no crappies.
Yeah.
but we don't have. I don't have the luxury of getting a hogfish or getting tuna or all that.
That's true.
We don't have that luxury, so that's why we got to get whatever we can and what's the best of availability around us in a sense. So
yeah, your selection is a little more narrow and limited. So I get it.
yeah, we don't get no saltwater fish here. I mean, unless it's you gotta go to a restaurant. That's the only way we can get one.
Yeah, exactly.
But we got to do that. Okay. I'm actually, I'm excited. I want to try that one day. Is go crabbing. That's one thing. Cause I lived in California for like 13 years and I didn't get a chance to go crabbing for Dungeness crabs out there. And I hear about it all the time, how people went crabbing and stuff. So I definitely want to try that, and it'd be cool. And then lobster, man, you got my attention now. Cause I know my wife doesn't listen to our podcast. So I'm going to have to tell her about this. And she's going to be like, what? Crabbing and lobster? She's gonna be like, I'm all in, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like her favorite. So I mean, it's like, she goes on.
Yeah.
She's gonna be all in for that. So, man, we gotta do that. Okay, you gotta make a Florida trip. Got to.
Yeah. You gotta come down, and like I said, everything we do, we put a 2bears adventure on it. So the 2bears spin. So we do things a little different with some of the things that we do, but we always have a great time. And everybody that comes down so far has said that they just had a blast. We tend to, when we're not entertaining people, we kind of tend to be hermits, because when we're out on the water, we usually it's just, we go and find our own little place or whatever. But we've had to kind of change that, because especially since we got the wrap on our boat, since we got the wrap, our subscribers have gone up on our YouTube, because when we go to the sandbar, we go out to the island where we go to a lot, there's a lot of people. Well, they see the wrap and they're like, well, that's cool. And then they see the name, and then all of a sudden we started getting more subscribers. So I think what it is, they're seeing us. Mm-hmm. And so when we go out, we tend to we'll go up and down a time or two, and then we find our spot. And then Gus is even really good. He's better at it than me. He goes out and kind of starts mingling a little bit, and and we've got some business cards that are like waterproof. So that way when we're out, and he's talking to somebody, and he's got this hat, and it's got like a little, what do you call it? Pocket in the bottom of the top of it. So he just keeps the business cards up there. So he was talking to somebody last weekend. He's like, hey, yeah, let me give you a business card, and he whips it out, and of course they're all so it works out well, the waterproof cards and the wrap, and it really gets our name out there.
That is so cool, man.
That's pretty cool. Maybe I should put my my name on my kayak. Then people will see me like, hey, look that guy up.
Kit,
Exactly.
That's
People
a
do.
bad dude.
You
That's
know,
a bad.
people are nosy. They see it and they're like, I wonder what that is. And they'll make a mental note or they'll write it down and then they'll go back home and they'll look it up.
You know that's a good idea. Put fishing kit and then you know what? Get a flag. Get a flag.
And that's the one thing. Dude. We've got it. Gus has designed it. We just haven't ordered it, and bought it yet. But that's another thing we want to do is because a lot of the YouTubers down here that go out on the sandbars, they have a flag with their YouTube on it and everything. And I'm telling you, it works. It really works.
All right. That's it, man. When's your birthday, Kit? I'll talk to Huey. I'll see you and get you a flag for your kayak, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And you have to use it. Yeah, you got to use it. You can't take it and then not use it. All right. You got to use it.
I'll use it. I need a flag for my kayak, anyways. So for visibility.
See.
Yeah. There you go. See, dual purpose.
Love it. So much fun. So my last question that for me I want to ask. Okay, so we had Gus on here. And he told us, you guys have a room full. I'm not the biggest snake guy. I am a very scared individual when it comes to snake. I'm just curious, how do you feel about that? You guys have a room of snakes. I told my wife about that. She goes, what? I go, yes. He has a full room of snakes. So to me, I'm like, I can't do that. How does that make you feel? I'm just curious. I just want to know.
Well, when I first started, when Gus and I started dating, he had a few different snakes that he kept in his office at work and stuff. And back then they actually had a few venomous snakes. So I just regular like pythons, boas, things like that. I'm not too bad with them. Still we've got a few that are a little bit snitty and I kind of try to stay away from them. But for the most part, I've learned from living in Tennessee that, like the black snakes and things like that, they're actually a really good help, especially around the farm and stuff like that. They kill things that you really don't want around. And so you just kind of let them be and, but and like I said, they had a few venomous snakes that he had for a while. Now those I don't want to have any part of. And of course we don't have any venomous here because, you have to have your room has to be a certain way because you got to make sure that they cannot get out of that room because it's such a liability. So, and now our room that we have, I've got something under, that's the thing that goes on the bottom of the door so they can't get out that way. Because we have had a few escapees at one time, but they were small. They weren't big, or anything. And it's funny because one time we had one get out and it wasn't a real big snake. It was at that point, she was probably only about, I don't know, maybe 1.5 feet long and maybe just a little bit bigger than your finger. She was small. But I came in here and I had looked everywhere for her and I'm like, I don't know where she's at. There's no telling if she got up in the ductwork, she'll get stuck. And so I just couldn't find her. And I was in the closet and I was going through some of Gus's clothes and there was like a stack of like pants and jeans and I'm pulling them and there she was curled up and right on top of in the middle of that. I mean, it was a stack. A big stack of jeans and stuff. And she had wiggled her way into that stack and she was all nice and cozy. So.
Did you scream? Because I would have screamed.
No, I mean.
I'm not going to lie, man. I would have screamed.
It startled me because I just didn't expect to find her there. All these other places I looked and she was in here in the bedroom, which is the room down the hall. And she had made her way in here and she chose to go in the closet. So, but the others, we've had a few others escape, but they were contained in the room, in the snake room. So it's not as we used to. We used to have upwards of 80 something different snakes because we were doing some breeding and things like that. But we've just gotten so busy with, fishing and the boat and everything else that we're thinning out the herd at this point because it's a lot of work and it's expensive to feed them all. And we're just not into it like we were. So I think now we've probably still got maybe 30 snakes. And then we've also got, we've got a tarantula. And then we've also got some geckos, because at one point we were breeding some leopard geckos as well. So I've still got probably about 10 leopard geckos and 3 crested geckos. And then we've got a German giant bearded dragon. He's in the living room in a big thing. So yeah, we have animals all over the place. And then we've got also in the living room, we have 2 guinea pigs. And then we have 2 bird cages and 2 different birds. We've got a blue crown conure and then a Quaker parrot. And both of those were rescues. Gus found both of them. They had fallen. He found them within like a few weeks of each other. First, the Quaker parrot, she had fallen out of the nest and there was no way to put her back in. And even if he did, the parents probably wouldn't, mess with her anymore. So he brought her home. And, Quaker parrots are all over Florida. They fly all over the place. So he brought her home and we got her a cage and everything, and I mean, she was still such a baby. We had to hand feed her for quite a while. And so now, then about 3 weeks later or so, Gus calls me and he's like, well, I found another parrot. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, but this one's not a Quaker parrot. I think it's a conure. And so I'm like, well, bring it home, and same thing. She'd fallen out of the nest because she was trying to move around and stuff. And so he brought her home. Same thing, had to hand feed her. And now they're beautiful birds, but they won't shut up. They learn to talk. And so one of them, the Quaker, her name is Tiki. And then the blue crown, her name is Coco. And the thing is, I looked up blue crown conures. Those birds cost about $2,000 if you go and buy them from somebody. Yeah. Wow. I'm like, okay. So, but like I said, they both talk. And they say, because I'm always saying, hi, Tiki, hi, Coco. Well, that's what you hear all the time. Hi, Coco. And it's funny because they mimic me, because I'll be like, hi, Coco. And they do the same thing. And then I said that about a week or two ago, I started saying, I'm going to teach them something. I'm going to teach them something new. So I'm like, peekaboo. And within 2 days, Tiki was saying peekaboo. And now Coco's starting to say it. So, and they're hilarious, but they don't shut up. So again, that's why I'm in the bedroom right now, because the more you talk, then the more they talk. And so you all would have been hearing, hi, Coco, hi, Tiki, peekaboo, I don't know what it is. The strays tend to find us. And then Bear, our dog, he is a rescue as well. And Gus found him at work. He got a call from the casino, the Seminole Casino, and they're like, hey, this little dog, somebody evidently has dumped it out. It won't leave out of the parking lot. Can you come get it? So he went. And at this point, Bear was just little. We didn't even know what he was. We knew he looked like some kind of terrier, but we weren't sure exactly what or what's mixed in there or whatever, and so he goes and he's like, he finds this cute little dog. Of course, Bear was very vicious at the time. He would growl and Gus, he couldn't take him to the rescue center at that point because he had other places he had to go patrolling. So he just took him with him all day long. And Bear just got real comfortable with him, So he calls me and he's like, hey, he said, I found this little dog. And he said, at first, because we thought that my mother-in-law might want him, because it hadn't been that long since my father-in-law had passed away. And she was so busy for years and years taking care of my father-in-law that we thought, well, she didn't really have anything to do after that. She didn't know what to do with herself. And she loves dogs. And so he said, well, I think I'm going to bring him home and see if mom wants him. And I'm like, okay. Now, granted, this was on a holiday weekend, a long holiday weekend, like Labor Day weekend. And I told him, I said, okay. I said, now, what are we going to do if your mom don't want him? Well, I can take him to the rescue center, but I can't take him back until, Tuesday. He was going to be off for 3 or 4 days, I'm like, oh boy, okay. So he brings him home. And of course his mom's like, oh, he's so cute, but yeah, I just can't do it. He's a puppy and I just don't have the energy. I'm like, great. Now we got to deal with this little puppy in addition to my Maltese. And at the time, my Maltese, she still could hear. She still had, her vision, and she didn't have at that point. So, because we had talked about getting her a friend, but we're like, well, we don't know because she's used to being it, and we don't want to stress her out. So Gus is like, well, if it doesn't work out, I'll just take him back, when I go back to work. So brought him home, and he was real good with Gaia. He would try to play with her, but then we'd be like, no, be gentle, and he learned really quickly. And within a few days, he won us over. And so we ended up keeping it. And he's just been we've had him for 3 years now, almost 3 years. And he's just a fabulous little dog. We couldn't have asked for a more perfect dog. Like I said, we still don't know exactly what he is, but we think he's like a Cairn Terrier. But he's the perfect size, but he's like a hardy little dog. So he can like keep up with us, and we could take him on the boat, and he just loves it. So he's definitely a cool little dog, but it's just amazing, because we couldn't have found a better dog to even have around our older dog, and now with her being blind and deaf and with dementia, and he's learned, he's learned now to not bother her, and it's so funny because if she starts walking towards him, because again, she can't see him, she's walking towards him. If she touches him, he's like, oh, and he runs off because he doesn't want to get in trouble.
It's crazy just how it works out, though. Honestly, it's just crazy how it works out. You guys didn't expect that, so that was what, that's pretty cool of you guys to take that, the dog in. And you know what, who would have thought? Now you guys, it's your little one, you guys love him.
Perfect little boat dog.
Exactly.
And, when we were talking about what to name him, and I'm like, name him Bear, because when he was little, now he's like blonde, but when he was little, he was like that brown and black, and he looked almost like a little teddy bear in a way, and I'm like, well, what better name than Bear, so
it's only fitting.
Him.
Only fitting on that. So
yeah.
But other than that, man, this has been fun. I really enjoy hearing stories and hearing a lot of the different, because we don't get that up here in middle Iowa, obviously. So it's kind of cool to kind of hear you guys' story and everything on that. Kit, you got anything else for Kristy? I mean, this has been fun, man. Just hearing the stories, just learning a little bit about mammals in general, because obviously I don't know shit, especially like the types of fish. Like, hello, you guys all looked at me like, hello, idiot, you don't know that puffer fish? Sorry, guys, I didn't, but you got
I was like, you never heard of a puffer fish?
Well, when she explained it, now I know, because I was like, yes, now I know what you're talking. I didn't know that's what they were called, pufferfish. My bad. Sorry. Hopefully, I'm not the only idiot that didn't know that.
You might be the only guy.
Great, thanks, man.
But I guess all I gotta say is like I'm glad you came on. Like I was like, how is she gonna top her husband with the stories and like the background, and like you just knocked it out of the park. Like you guys, everything about you too, like the story that you have to tell, like between like how you guys met, the animals that you interact with, all these adventures you go on. It's like you guys are the most interesting couple.
I agree. The most interesting couple I've ever heard or met. I agree with you on that, man.
There's a word for it. Unique.
Unique. Duh.
You're
Duh.
unique, all right.
Love it. Love it. Anything else for them? Anything else for her, Kit?
Yeah, if our audience wants to reach out to you guys, where can they get a hold of you?
Well, like I said, they can go to our 2bears Outdoors on YouTube and send us a message through there, comment, whatever. Gus is really good about answering all the comments and questions and everything that we get. And then our email, they can just email us at 2bearsoutdoors@gmail.com.
Perfect. And what we'll do, we'll put that on the show notes and everything. This has been a blast. I love to me these episodes where we get a chance to really meet somebody new somewhere that's not local, because we love to keep everything local, but also we love to meet somebody just completely new and then just open our horizons. So it's so cool. Love it. And I can't wait to get down to Florida. And I am seriously, I'm going to take the kids down there with the family. I'll definitely reach out to you guys. I definitely want to get a chance to meet with you. I don't know about the snake room. I'm not going to lie. Gus already knows I'm not the biggest snake man.
Oh.
Yeah, he'll be trying to get you on an alligator. You just wait.
Shit.
Oh,
Go ahead, Kit.
okay. Going back to the snake room real quick. Do you guys have hognose snakes or ever had hognose snakes?
Have we? Gus has had them. I don't. Have we had them since? No. Gus had one at one time, but since we've been married, we haven't had one here.
So like, I've been having an interest in like reptiles and stuff lately. I've been watching these snake videos, and if there was gonna be a snake that I would get, it would be the hognose snake. And if there was ever a cute snake, it would be a hognose, because they got like this short, stubby little face, and like I don't know, they're just I don't know. There's like
They are.
yeah, they're cute. They're cute snakes.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm not a snake. I'm not a snake guy. I
Like,
told
I
Gus. I'm
Hey,
sorry, man. Uh-oh.
I bet if you saw a hognose snake, you'll change your mind. Like, wow, a cute snake. Interesting.
Okay. I don't know, man. I'm not gonna lie. Cute and snake to me. Oh man. All right. Till next time, everybody. Thank you so much, Kristy.
All right.